Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hivemind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Liberal hypocrisy. It's an epidemic. It's the true plague of the modern world, ravaging Western civilization and Western society like we've never seen before. It's been incubating within academia, but it's somehow escaped the lab, and it's spreading like absolute wildfire. And speaking of liberal hypocrisy, speaking of exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left, we got another Nancy Pelosi video for you guys. Well, I'm going to tell you guys something a little bit, let's say, not so surprising. Nancy Pelosi is proven once again to be a complete hypocrite. Rules for thee, but not for me. Nancy signing on to a bill, leading a bill with new rules for the plebeians who serve under her, while of course not following those same rules herself and immediately getting called out by the entire Twitter sphere in one of the most epic get woke, go broke, Twitter woke backlashes I've seen in a while. So we gotta talk about Nancy. There's two stories that we gotta cover, and then we'll get into some more Democrat and political establishment hypocrisy. But before we get into any of it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. The best thing that you could do to help us out is sharing the video and of course making sure you have notifications enabled, since YouTube is no longer recommending our videos to new viewers that are not subscribed to the channel already. Now with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. Alright, so here we go, folks. This is the headliner story that'll give you the context. Nancy Pelosi bans gender terms like mother, daughter, father, son in House rules. Well, that literally makes absolutely no sense, but let's read on. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democrat from California. Oh, she's a Democrat from California. It all makes sense now. And the Rules Committee Chairman James McGovern, Democrat from Massachusetts, unveiled the rules for the 117th Congress on Friday, which contained future-focused proposals, including the elimination of gender terms such as father, mother, son, and daughter. So apparently the future is, I guess, the disintegration of traditional family. Interesting. Sounds like a dystopia to me, but let's read on. This package, which will be introduced and voted on once the new Congress convenes, includes sweeping ethics reforms, increases accountability for the American people, and makes the House of Representatives the most inclusive in history, said the House Committee on Rules in a statement. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi went on to say she is pleased to join Chairman Jim McGovern in introducing this visionary rules package, which reflects the views and values of a full range of our historically diverse House Democratic majority. Thanks to the leadership of Chairman McGovern and our members, Democrats have crafted a package of unprecedented, bold reforms which will make the House more accountable, transparent, and effective in our work to meet the needs of the American people. And so here we go. This is liberal lunacy 101, folks. Virtue signaling and pandering to some sort of academic dogma crafted by a bunch of academic ideologues instead of doing what? Doing their damn job and making life better for average Americans. Instead of cutting the pork spending, instead of actually doing something to help you, they banned gender terms. Nice. America is now a better place. America has been saved. Well, get this, folks. Gender terms are now banned from the House, and Nancy Pelosi signs on to it. Except, get this, let's go to Nancy Pelosi's Twitter bio. Nancy Pelosi at Speaker of the House, focusing on strengthening Americans' middle class and creating jobs. Mother, grandmother, dark chocolate connoisseur. But wait a second, I thought mother and grandmother should be banned gender terms. Turns out, Nancy Pelosi is an absolute hypocrite and is getting called out so incredibly hard by both sides of the political aisle all over Twitter. Not to mention the absolute irony in her Twitter bio beyond the gender terms. So let's put things into context before I read it. Nancy Pelosi has been at the head of the Democrats in their absolute onslaught towards the middle class, their destruction of business, and their not creating jobs, creating homelessness, and an incredibly high unemployment rate within pretty much all Democrat cities. But she says here, focused on strengthening America's middle class and creating jobs. What she means is focusing on taxing the middle class to death and subsidizing unemployment. That's what she means. But what do you think this whole ploy with these new rules in Congress really means? Of course, it's a pander to the woke radical left. That's all it is, plain and simple. Instead of actually doing their job, doing anything concrete, they pander to a bunch of woke ideologues and call it a day, then continue their crony establishment ways. And here's the thing, the woke left will never be satisfied. Even if they got what they wanted, they got their technocratic, communistic future, what they view as a utopia, living off yang bucks and robot peasants doing everything for them as they, I don't know, overdose on ketamine while watching the futuristic version of Jimmy Fallon, they still wouldn't be happy and they'd still be complaining. And the Democrats still haven't learned that no matter what they do to pander and genuflect to the woke left wants nothing to do with them. Proof positive, is this most recent story. We want everything. Pelosi's San Francisco home vandalized with pig's head and spray paint. Just look at this picture, folks. And so clearly, Nancy Pelosi is a target for the woke radical left, for the Antifa fascists on the street. And this says everything. Cancel rent and we want everything. The level of entitlement is absolutely mind-boggling. Cancel rent? Yeah, I'm sure that's going to do great for the housing market. I'm sure that's going to lead to some really high-quality housing for everyone. What it will lead to are slums, and we want everything. We know. You just don't want to work for it. And of course, in that same trend, here's Mitch McConnell's house also vandalized, saying, "Where's my money?" and a bunch of profanities spray painted on the front of his house. Once again, where's my money? A sense of entitlement, exactly what you'd expect from these far-left fascists. But at least this one I can maybe agree with to a certain extent. It technically is your money. It's taxpayer dollars, and most of it's being spent on absolute wastefulness in foreign countries, and it'd be nice if the government would spend on the government's people. But let's get back on track here, folks. Of course, the channel is solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left, and let's continue that focus on incompetent Democrat leadership. You might have seen this yesterday, a headline trending on Twitter. Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler denounces 2 days of violence in the city. 2 days of violence in the city, Ted Wheeler denounce? Words going together that baffle the mind on so many different levels. First of all, what an absolute dork. Don't you find it interesting that Democrats all of a sudden feel a sudden urge to do their job and do the right thing the moment the election's over? Secondly, denouncing 2 days of violence. What about the 135, 150 days of violence during the election season that you did absolutely nothing about and blamed the whole damn thing, weaponized it as a political tool, a cudgel to attack the current president? Ted Wheeler is the biggest dork of 2020, at least one of them. And just listen to what he had to say.
My good faith efforts at de-escalation have been met with ongoing violence and even scorn from radical Antifa and anarchists. In response, it will be necessary to use additional tools and to push the limits of the tools we already have to bring the criminal destruction and violence to an end. Lawlessness and anarchy come at great expense and with great risk to the future of our community. It's time to push back harder against those who are set on destroying our community and to take more risks in fighting lawlessness. In closing, once again, I condemn anyone who engages in violence or criminal destruction, no matter what their ideology.
I mean, guys, I've made 600 videos on this channel already, and I've only ever swore once, and I even bleeped it out, but this time, there's only one way to describe this, and this is the second time I'm ever going to say a relatively bad word on this channel. What an asshole. There's really no other way to describe it, folks. Democrats trying to grandstand now is such a slap in the face for the people, the regular folk, the small business who lost everything during the riots. These Antifa dweebs and BLM dweebs saying, but oh, they have insurance, when a ton of them, thousands of them, don't. And secondly, insurance will give you a minimum payout for what you declare. You gotta fight for it and you might not get the payout that you need. Not to mention, these businesses are people's second homes with family trinkets and family memories, things that remind them of their parents who maybe passed down the business to them. Antifa and BLM have been ravaging communities, destroying and harassing regular folk and small businesses for months, and it continues. 4 arrested after Antifa attacked Seattle small business on New Year's Eve. This is what Ted Wheeler and Jenny Durkin and Kate Brown and the whole lot of them sat idly by and let it happen for months. It's just a major slap in the face, and the perspective that we've been uttering this entire time, that this violence is unacceptable. It's literally domestic terrorism, it's anarchy, it's intimidation. All these Democrat leaders and Democrats on Twitter, lefty types in general, condemned you for it. Push comes to shove, looks like they're singing the exact tune. And that, my friends, is the abundant hypocrisy of the left. That's what I got for you. Of course, if you enjoyed it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. Now, I gotta get back to work because, of course, there's a whole lot of hypocrisy that must be exposed on a daily basis. It's a daily gig, folks. I'm gonna get back to that. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.